Good morning, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Paul Gibb, and I'm joined today by our interim minister, Barbara Queeman. Today's music is provided by Ted Coriath, song leader Amy Austin, and also Deborah Mensch. Today's tech team is Larry Sherwood, Deborah Mensch, and Paula Zimmerman. Our Zoom host is Kathy Partridge. As I say the welcome words today, I invite those of you on Zoom to shift into gallery mode, if you haven't already done so, and scroll through the screens so you can experience the beauty of this congregation. Those in person, look around and open your heart to welcome everyone here. Okay. Okay. So here are the opening words. Love is welcome here. Love, only love, is welcome here. Kindness is welcome here. Only kindness, loving kindness, is welcome here. So bring your pain, bring your sorrow, bring your hope, bring your fear. We will wrap our loving arms around you because love is welcome here. Here you are given permission you may not yet have even given yourself to show up and be your most authentic self. You can cry here. You can take your time here. To be you is not a crime here. We are all divine here. We shine brighter when we all shine here. We rise higher when we all rise here. We practice being kind here. And guess what? You can make mistakes here. No guilt, blame, or shame here. There's only grace here. We know you by name here. We've been waiting for you. So glad you came here. We hope that you stay here and that you can be reclaimed and embraced here, because love, only love, is welcome here. So please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. Those in person can stop by the welcome table in our foyer for fellowship information and our newcomer form. It's also on the QR code in the back of the hymnal. If you would like to view a simple order of service for today's service, please scan the QR code on our screens now or click on the link in the Zoom chat. Our book for sharing joys and concerns is just inside the door of the sanctuary. Please write a brief personal note about what is on your heart today, and you may mark whether you would like us to read it aloud later in the service. If you would like to be contacted later by a lay pastoral care associate or neighborhood connector, please complete the form fully. Please add your sharing by the time of the opening hymn. Our Sunday support person this morning is Molly Fortuna, wearing the white stole and waving back there. And Molly will be at the welcome desk and available for pastoral care after the service. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay for casual conversation following the service. If you are here in person today, you are welcome to coffee hour in the fellowship hall. Please note that this year the Mitten Tree ceremony will occur toward the end of the service. If you're joining us on Zoom, please feel free to greet each other in the Zoom chat, and if you're a newcomer, let us know so we can greet you. Those of you in the sanctuary, please take a short moment to greet your neighbor.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. So good to see everyone this morning here and on Zoom. I'm Reverend Barbara, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her. Friends, let's come together repeating our words to light the chalice, which is already in flame. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, Listen to this call to worship by one of my former students. In the season of long, cold nights, hope isn't waiting for us to find it. Hope isn't sitting patiently on the sidelines. Hope seeks out the forgotten places, the longest night, the damaged temple, the overcrowded stable, and every corner where tomorrow seems impossible. Hope bursts in uninvited, without concern for our carefully crafted plans. Hope shows up as a lamp that keeps burning. Hope shows up as an improbable baby. Hope shows up as the sun, returning without ever having left. Hope shows up as tomorrow, and then tomorrow, and then tomorrow, until against all odds, we feel the future breaking on the horizon. When we are weary from battle, when empire seems inevitable, and when darkness is growing around us, hope comes to claim us, and we have the chance to say yes. Come, my friends, let us be in community this morning together and be glad. And before we join in singing our opening hymn, I want to point out, you may have noticed in the aisles, are baskets containing our mittens. I invite you during our opening hymn to reach out and distribute those mittens along your rows and feel their textures and maybe pass them around and look at their colors, because later on in this service, we will be blessing these mittens before we add them to our mitten tree. So during the singing, I invite you to reach out and grab the mittens that are there in the baskets in the aisles. And so with that as a preface, let's join in singing hymn number 55, Dark of Winter.
Embody your spirit.
Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
Let us not forget the paradox that when we are in total darkness, we can actually see much further than when the sun is up in the sky. We can see way, way, way out into the depths of the universe, and we can often be filled with a great sense of awe and wonder. When I was a teenager, I often walked into a nearby forest in the dark of night in order to smoke a cigarette without my parents knowing. Yes, even though I walked through the woods in almost total darkness, I never once tripped or fell. One night I heard that the northern lights were going to be visible. I had just listened to Johannes Brahms's incredible First Symphony, a piece of music that took the composer 10 years to write, and which has the most holy music I've ever heard, leading up to a finale which all the musicologists have described as a very close encounter with whatever is divine in the universe. When I walked in the woods that night, the music of Brahms filled both my body and my soul. I had tingles in my spine, and had even more when I looked up and saw the northern lights. They were incredibly beautiful and gave me a wonderful sense of how huge the universe is that surrounds me. When I finally walked home, I had a triumphant sense of who I am and what my place in the universe is. That triumphant sense is still with me. Yes, darkness can be holy. Darkness can be bright.
My friends, we come now to the personal in our service, to that time of sharing together, the joys, the concerns, the celebrations, the challenges. If in the Zoom you wish to add a joy or concern to the chat and have not already done so, Zoomers, I invite you to add your entry, which we will read later in the service. So friends, may we enter then into a spirit of prayer, of meditation, of intentional focus. As I continue to offer some words, some prayer about hope. Great Spirit, in this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star, and to the truth that we are greater together than alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the world of which we dream today. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and then the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. My friends, let us continue to be in that spirit of prayer and meditation, especially for those who live in Colorado who have experienced so many incidents of gun violence. My friends, let us be together sending support, sending love, sending care to both Brown University, which experienced an incursion of gun violence yesterday, as I last read, 2 dead and 9 injured, through yet another horrific act of gun violence. And then let us reach out our hopes, our prayers, our souls to citizens in Sydney, Australia. I don't know the count there, but attending a Hanukkah celebration, another incursion of gun violence. Let us hold all of these citizens of the world, in our hearts, in our prayers, and let us remember and realize any memories that any of us in this greater Colorado have for any situations, any violations of human life that have occurred in this general area in the past. We hold also in our heart, we continue to hold concerns in our country for the ongoing issue of health care. May we hold all of us in the possibility of being able to take care of ourselves. And remember that this is a congregation that cares for one another and will support one another. In this season also of peace and goodwill, let us send out cares to the world, concerns to the world, prayers to the world, that violence may cease wherever in the world it's continuing to go on. Thank you. So then Paul will offer yet one more stone, and I invite each of us to go more deeply thinking on, listening to those joys and concerns which may not even have arisen yet to our awareness. Listen to that still small voice within, knowing that in this community, we together can find love, support, and hope. One more stone for final blessings. Amen, and blessed be. Together in singing our pastoral hymn, Spirit of Life. The words will be on the screen. It's also number 123 in the gray hymnal.
Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the full plate is for EFA, the Emergency Family Assistance Association. Miriam Gilbert here is a member of EFA, and she would be happy to talk with anybody after the service. EFA addresses the immediate needs of all those who come to them in financial crisis, helping them avert homelessness and hunger with food from their food bank, and provides direct financial assistance for rent, utilities, transportation, and minor medical needs. Additionally, EFA provides strength-based resource navigation and referrals to outside resources. Your donations decorating the Mitten Tree in the front hall will go to children through EFA, and all of the money collected in the plate today will help families thrive. You can text your donation, the number on the screen, or if you were at the fellowship, place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously, as you so often do.
for the work and witness of this congregation and EFA. Your contributions are gratefully received. Thank you. So how's that going with distributing the mittens around the room? Everybody have a mitten to cherish, nurture? Yeah? Good. This morning I want to offer one of my favorite words of inspiration. I want to offer a reading called The Growing Edge by the theologian Howard Thurman. Howard was a black mid-20th century black theologian and civil rights leader, and instrumental in creating what became known as liberation theology. This reading has inspired me so many times in my life. Listen to these words by Howard Thurman. All around us, worlds are dying, and new worlds are being born. All around us, life is dying, and life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree. The roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth, against a time when there shall be new lives, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge, the extra breath from the exhausted lung. The one more thing to try when all else has failed. The upward reach of life when weariness closes in upon all endeavors. This is the basis of hope in moments of despair. The incentive to carry on when times are out of joint and men, in mid-20th century vocabulary, and men have lost their reason. The source of confidence when worlds crash and dreams whiten into ash. The birth of a child, life's most dramatic answer to death. This is the growing edge incarnate. Look well to the growing edge. Inspiration from Howard Thurman. I'm grateful for the visit last Sunday of my minister colleague, the Reverend Kelly Dignan. Kelly reflected on active hope, a practice developed by the recently departed Joanna Macy. Core to Macy's activism is the principle that hope is not something only that we have, but hope is something that we do. A commitment to hope invites us to action, engagement, and transformation. Hope is an apt theme for Soul Matters this month, as we approach Mother Nature's longest night of the year. Hope is also inherent in December's liturgical calendar in this season of Advent, waiting for Mother Nature's turn to new light and new life. For Joanna Macy and for many others, active hope is central to the concept of the great turning. That is our human capacity to transform the pain of the world into loving compassion. So today, continuing the theme of hope as doing, in addition to inviting each of you to consider your personal relationship with hope, I want to also consider the role of active hope in another program, Circles of Trust, which I plan to offer again to this congregation after the new year. More about that program toward the end of this sermon. A program which, just like Joanna Macy's Active Hope, regards hope as alive and transformative. I'm so inspired by both Macy's Active Hope and Circles of Trust, especially as these programs affirm that with hope, hope is something we can all choose to have access to. So here, near the outset of this sermon, let's start with your personal reflection. So I invite everybody, just within yourself, maybe go a little deeper. May I invite you to consider your own personal relationship with hope. How do you refer to hope? How do you think about it? Are you a hopeful person? Do you intentionally include beliefs, maybe even practices of hope in your life? Is hope transformative for you? No matter the personal, the social, the political challenges we probably all face at one time or another, does the capacity for hope reside within you? As Mary Gibb reflected in the service last week with Reverend Kelly, there's many nuances to the concept of hope, which I imagine some of you just sort of streamed through. What does hope really mean? Hope can be used somewhat casually, as in, I hope you have a good holiday, or aspirationally, as in hoping for the best outcome, as I hope the Broncos will stay on top, or theologically, as hope, as a partner to faith and love. Hope is that feeling of expectation, which might lead to some type of change. Hope is not clear-eyed optimism, nor hopeless cynicism. In that hope is truth-telling. Hope may not always be easy. The good news is that hope is within our power, my friends, our control, our agency, even for the most downtrodden, perhaps even for you who might consider yourself without hope. Especially in our liberal religious tradition, hope is core to the identity of each of us as persons of inherent worth and dignity. No matter our state of life, hope is always available to us if we trust our capacity to access it. Author Rebecca Solnit writes that hope is the cousin of courage. Indeed, hope may ask of us courage, perhaps even risking, perhaps a willingness to be vulnerable because we don't know the outcomes. Hope also asks for deep listening, to truly know the inner depth of others. Hope invites us to let go of control of every single detail of an outcome. Let go, let go. I expect most of us carry with us some sense of hopelessness over the current political leadership in this country. Now, certainly in many arenas of American life, we don't have control of outcomes. But in the spirit of hope, hope can infuse us with courage to keep on going. There's an anecdote about hope, which I expect many of you have heard. It's about a clergyman named A.J. Muste. I believe that's his name, Muste, M-U-S-T-E. He was known for being a one-person protest during the Vietnam War. Throughout his life, Muste was a vocal advocate for nonviolent social change. During the Vietnam War of the 1960s, he protested at the White House through the rain and the cold, holding a lighted candle as a silent vigil against the war. When a curious reporter asked him, "Mr. Muste, do you really believe that your lonely little vigil is going to change the policies of this country or change the world?" Mr. Muste replied, "Oh, I don't do it to change the country. I do it so the country won't change me." Muste believed in the power of active hope against all odds to sustain that growing edge on the values he believed in. He believed in a better future. But maybe some of you are still thinking, So what does being hopeful get me anyway? Well, for one, hope is more energizing and engaging than either optimism or cynicism, which really don't get us anywhere. They're not action feelings and action states of being. They don't embrace action. Living in hope can infuse us with movement and change. Hope sometimes can actually be disquieting, because committing to hope, we decide that we no longer will put up with the status quo, instead inspiring us to strive for a new outcome, admittedly with no guarantee of positive results. Hope is inherently truth-telling, coming from a place of defiance and resistance. Thus, hope can inspire us to contradict realities which no longer serve us well. Hope can ward off despair. As Soul Matters suggests, hope might even make us dangerous. Heaven forbid that we be dangerous. In the words of theologian Jürgen Moltmann, genuine hope is holy impatience. I love that concept. Hope is holy impatience. It can push us toward transformation and wholeness. The metaphor for the power of hope that I have been deeply inspired by ever since I first heard it years ago is that in today's reading by Howard Thurman that I just offered. Hope represents a growing edge for Thurman, a capacity for new outcomes. His words convey to me the message that hope is an effective tool for opening up new life in dying worlds. Hope has that edge on it. I often think of Thurman's reading when, in moments of despair, when I'm experiencing the darkness of the world and struggling with exhausted lungs trying to breathe. More than once in my life, knowing that I've possessed the capacity to engage a new growing edge has given me the incentive, the trust to carry on. Whereas as Thurman said, when times have been out of joint, when worlds crash and dreams whiten into ash. Indeed, I really do often look well to growing edges in my life. In coming here to church to consider hope, you've come to the right place. For hope runs deep in most every theological tradition. Now, as we are in the liturgical season of Advent, the traditional story of both Christian and UU traditions recognizes the birth of a baby who embodies hope for the world, a baby who represents new potential, the new growth which will emerge after Mother Nature's darkest time of the year. Again from Howard Thurman. His growing edge image leads him to assert that for him, the birth of a child is life's most dramatic answer to death. The growing edge incarnate, the greatest messages of hope. I can relate to new life incarnate in the birth of a child, not only in the child themselves, but in my experience also in the life of me as the one who birthed two children. This is hard to talk about. Through both births, I experienced something about myself, being born anew to new life, to expanded life. Now, this expansion wasn't only about the practicalities of caring and clothing and feeding these children. It was also about the expansion of my being and my soul, as well as the imperative to own and hone my own habits of life, so to be all the better a guide, to get my own act together, in effect, to be a source of hope for others, for new lives. I don't know if anyone else has had a similar experience as you've entered either parenthood or maybe some other context of responsibility for younger ones coming after you. For me, birthing was a powerful statement of hope. In coming to a UU congregation, we're also part of another theological tradition steeped in hope. Theology as practiced by what I call the old Universalists, one of the two immediate ancestors of Unitarian Universalism. The very popular appeal of universalism, especially in the 19th century, especially out here on the Western frontier, where life was not necessarily easy, universalism was hopeful. Its grounding in hope and the belief that all persons are saved and thus assured a place in heaven offered much hope to those who adhered to and committed to universalism. Now, as expressed in 21st century terms, we say not that all persons are saved necessarily, but that all persons have inherent worth and dignity. Universalism came to be known as the faith which would give them hope, not hell. Maybe I better repeat that. Give them hope, not hell. This is a mantra. It's been attributed to the Universalist minister John Murray. Now, if you're intrigued by such details of UU history, consider signing up for the in-person UU history class I will offer in January. And get the inside scoop on the recent discovery about the actual author of this phrase. It wasn't John Murray, but this mantra, no matter who wrote it, nevertheless continues to convey powerful truth about the actual facts of its origin. That is, that in this tradition, we can find hope, not hell, for everyone. We are universally saved. This past Friday's Connections had some information about the UU history class, and I understand we're going to follow up with a registration form. So keep your eye open for that class. So let's shift back to your personal introspection about hope. What are some important characteristics of hope for you? Continue to think for yourself. How do you recognize hope in yourself and in others? If you characterize someone or some activity as hopeful, what does that look like? Some of us may avoid hope out of fear of being disappointed, perhaps recalling past experiences which were not realized. Can you willingly engage in hope, even knowing that the outcomes you wish for aren't guaranteed? Hope can involve risks. Does hope feel assured for you? If it is coming from a place of gratitude, part of that spiral which Joanna Macy describes, going from gratitude into hope, helps us get outside of ourselves, gets us outside of that inward deliberating. So, my friends, now for about a minute and a half, I'd like to call each of us, in person and online, to a very brief thought exercise. So for about a minute and a half, in that context of your relationship with hope, which you focused on earlier, I invite you to think on a current challenge in your life. Reflect on it by thinking, by writing, by drawing, maybe standing up if it expands your embodiment of your practice. How might practicing active hope move you forward toward change of that challenge? How can hope be a growing edge for you? Tad's going to offer some gentle music. This is only your own self-reflection. Sit for about a minute and a half, folks online as well, and just think on how a challenge in your life might be moved forward through a sense of hope. Please, my friends, let us be together in some silent reflection for just a brief time together. Tad will accompany you, and when he's done, I'll bring you back. May I invite you to come out of your reflection. I realize it's short, and I know always that you wish to share with others. May I invite you in social time after the service to find a conversation partner and reflect with that person on your reflections, and especially how hope may have moved you forward, even in this brief reflection, to new places of transformation. So I invite you also then to consider more regular practices which can nurture active hope. One of these can be the Circles of Trust program, which I want to just review for you for a few minutes at the end of this sermon, from whose materials I derived the title for this sermon, Practicing Hope. Indeed, Circles of Trust is an active engagement program. We're looking ahead to another Circles of Trust workshop in February and March. Circles of Trust is a spiritual practice which nurtures compassionate communication, grounded in practices such as deep listening. The practice invites us to explore that authentic wholeness which was born in each of us as we deepen our capacity for trust and hope. I know some of you know about Circles of Trust through some previous workshops we've held. One of the core components of this is the Touchstones, which is in effect the covenant for this program. The final touchstone on practicing hope is the capstone of this covenant. In practicing hope, we commit to believing that it's possible to emerge from this work with what we need, what the community needs, and with more energy and perspective, so that our community can hold greater capacity for transformation and wholeness. A section of Circles of Trust might hold up to 25 participants, in which we sometimes engage as a group, sometimes in small group, and sometimes in individual reflection. Depending on the enrollment, when we get there, we are ready to offer more than one section of this program, just like we did in the fall. My friends, as I reflect back on the place of hope in my life, and I review various challenges I've experienced, I've come to realize that I have almost always remained hopeful that there is a new way and different routes to achieving dreams. In my own small ways, I've experienced many turnings. I know I can't accomplish the great turning, not by myself, but I can contribute my small part. I believe that my own transformation helps me ward off those unhealthy powers in the world, keeping them from changing me. I don't know, perhaps in a former life, I was an old Universalist, who knows? What I do know now is that a commitment to hope, not hell, really has guided so many of my life decisions, calling me forward to new endeavors, new mindsets, new commitments. May we all engage well in the spiritual practice of hope, supporting our lives going ever forward in transformation, healing, and wholeness. May all this be so. And now, friends, I invite us into a ceremony of the blessing of the mittens. I hope everyone has a mitten to be holding on to, and I mean a piece of knitwear. And if not, please distribute more around the room. Please, everybody got something? Yeah. Hey.
Missed.
Try again. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ooh, lovely. I offer this ceremony written in collaboration with our beloved Kitty Kilburn. Beloveds, as we entered into this spirit of blessing, our Mitten Tree is a symbol of the warmth this community shares with one another, and the warmth we extend to those beyond our walls. If you brought knitwear and have more than one item with you right now, share it with someone nearby you, so that as many as wish to may feel and see an item of warmth. Let this small act of passing warmth from hand to hand remind us of how we care for one another. So if you're holding an item, place it in your hands gently around you, as if receiving something precious. And if your hands happen to be empty, that's okay too. You may simply open your hands and allow yourselves to be part of this blessing in whatever way feels right for you. Now, imagine the person who might someday wear one of these gifts. Someone seeking comfort, seeking safety. Someone seeking a reminder that they are not alone. Think of a word you wish for that person. Warmth, protection, joy, belonging, peace. And gently whisper that word into the mitten or the hat or the space in the pause in front of you or the space in front of you. Gently whisper those words. Now, my friends, let us return these gifts toward the baskets that they came from. I'm trusting there's baskets relatively close by. Pass the blessed mittens across the aisles, that each of these objects will receive the blessing from each of us. These mittens contain more than fabric and thread. They contain the collective care of this community. Care that warms bodies and spirits. And could I encourage you to then return the baskets along the aisles? Thank you. May those who receive these mittens feel held, remembered, and loved. May the care ripple outward, warming more than hands. And may this simple act of sharing be one small way we practice hope together. So, my friends, then, during the closing music, as you leave the sanctuary, please take an item from the baskets, whether it's your own or for someone else, and add the item to the tree in the lobby. In exchanging our gifts, we are all reminded that what we offer becomes another person's warmth, and what we carried forward is shaped by another person's generosity. Together, our adorned mitten tree is our shared expression of care and hope for our beloved community. Amen, and blessed be. And I don't know exactly the coordination, but the plan may be the children are going to meet you all around the tree out there. I'm not quite sure how the timing is working, but look for the children. As you're going out then, my friends, pick up an item, another item as you're going out, add it to the tree. Remember the blessing. Remember what it represents. Remember the love that you infused into your item and into all the items in this ritual. Folks online, blessings for your rituals at home as you've been blessing your own mittens. All right, it's time for our closing hymn. I invite us to stand in body or in spirit, rise in body or in spirit. Just as long as I have breath, still I hope that I meet each day with hope. Let's sing together, just as long as I have breath.
Just as long
Handing in body or spirit, friends, as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And as we go out, let us join together in our beloved all-congregation covenant. We covenant to be a fellowship welcoming to all, where our differences are a source of deep learning and spiritual growth. We strive to promote and respect as we work together to build a just and passionate world. Friends, I invite you to resume your seats. I think we have some hopeful announcements coming now.
Yes, I hope you will find something wonderful out of all of these announcements to do, to share. First, on Christmas morning, I am Claire Marie Wall. I'm the co-chair of your elected Committee on Shared Ministries, and that is why I'm doing the announcements today. On Christmas morning, at 11 a.m., the UUs of Boulder are holding their annual Christmas potluck brunch. We are all invited. There's a sign-up sheet posted on the bulletin board outside the kitchen. If you'd like to attend, please add your name and what you will bring. It's important for them to get a head count in advance. Today, the ministerial search team is excited to present the congregational survey summary and focus group results right after the service, after the service at 11:30 here in the sanctuary and on Zoom. Data will be shared with slides showing the responses and trends. So feel free to grab a cup of coffee. Join us back here at 11:30, and there will be time for questions. Also, all ages are invited to the fellowship hall after service to make seasonal crafts. You have two choices for fun and activities, or you can do both. Make simple stained glass candles with Janine Sunshine, Sereno, and decorate homemade sugar and gingerbread cookies with Jean Canello. Also today, please join our friends from Zaporizhia, Ukraine, in the Mountain View room today, between 11:30 and noon. Angelo and Pavel Mishchenko have been witnesses to the war for nearly 4 years, with the front now only 25 miles from their home. They greatly appreciate our congregation's support of Ukraine. They look forward to talking with you. And of course, don't forget today's concert at 4:30. Also this Thursday, December 18th at 7, there will be an intimate candlelit in-person service here in the sanctuary. It's called When Hope is Hard to Find. It's a service of music, meditation, and sharing for anyone who faces difficult feelings around the holidays, whether from loss, trauma, seasonal mood changes, worries about our country, or other reasons. If you have questions, please contact Michaela Sievers. So as Tad plays our closing music, please pick up a mitten on the way out of the sanctuary and add to the Mitten Tree, which I see has been moved magically right outside the doors. Thank you all. Blessed be.